In just 10 days' time, a new world champion will be crowned. Two-time I-League winning coach Ashley Westwood and Team India and ATK star Eugenson Lyngdoh are here with me in our studios as we build up to the first of the four quarter-finals and the business end of the tournament. You'll also be hearing from French international and 2006 World Cup finalist Louis Saha a little bit ahead on the show. But before we build up, Ashley, to the matches today, what a remarkable tournament this is turning out to be. We thought the group stages were interesting, and then the drama just, went up a couple of notches in the round of 16.
Yeah, it's been incredible. I don't know exactly the stat, but there's been so many 90th minute winners. Obviously, there's been 26 odd or 28 penalties as well. The VAR has been calling them for fun, and like comebacks, like we mentioned, Belgium coming from 2 down. I mean, that's been years before someone's been able to do that. So it's had a bit of everything, really.
Eugene, this is that stage of the tournament where things really change, though, isn't it? You have 8 teams left. Individually, as teams, you know that 2 wins take you into the final. Is this where the belief starts coming in for all of the survivors that we could go all the way?
Yeah, definitely. You gain confidence now, but there's a lot of pressure too. There's a lot of tension to it. Our players will be thinking there are a lot about any mistake that they make. They could be capitalized by the other opponents. So it's going to be very crucial. It's going to be it's going to be very tight for the players to, it's not going to be as fluent as we expected, like on the group stages. But now it'll be a bit more
cagey, perhaps, is the word that you're looking for. Okay, this is where we stand. 32 teams began the tournament with the hope of winning the trophy. That, of course, was dwindled down to 16 after an entertaining group stage. And now we have our final 8. Our focus today is on the left-hand side of the draw on your screens. 2 blockbuster contests to look ahead to. 1998 champions France take on 2-time winners Uruguay in the first of the day's matches that kicks off in just about an hour's time from now, while the late match is one probably worthy of a final. 5-time champions Brazil face off against dark horses Belgium in a contest featuring some of the best footballers on the planet. Eugene, the thing that strikes you when you look at this half of the draw is that it's really lopsided, isn't it? I mean, the teams on the other side, the Englands and the Swedens of the world, they're feeling a lot better looking at these quarterfinal matchups.
I wouldn't say that. I feel that they have gone through the tough work to reach there. So it's the upsets that have made the draw a bit more of a loop side, like you say. But I wouldn't say any team there is going to be easy. I think they're going to be tough teams because they've reached the quarters. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very difficult. So I expect very tough competition in this quarterfinals.
Okay, Ashley, let's get down to business then. France versus Uruguay is what kicks off the quarterfinals. An interesting match this, and probably the perfect match between one of the most feared forward lines, you would say, at the tournament, and the stingiest defence in Uruguay's.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's in the Uruguayans' character. They defend for their lives, they chase all lost causes, and they're really determined. I think we now associate France with having a fluent attack just because of the last game, really, the 4-3 against Argentina. Before that, there were some decent moments, but not that consistent. But it looks like they've just hit the ground running at the right time. So, like you say, it should be nice and entertaining. A contrast of styles, really.
Okay, we have the starting lineups for both the teams. So let's look at Uruguay's lineup first, because we have confirmation that Edinson Cavani is not fit and therefore not in the starting 11. Christian Stuani comes in what appears to be a like-for-like replacement. Ashley?
Yeah, I think so. Scored 19 goals last season in La Liga for Girona, so he knows where the back of the net is, which is what they're going to need. Obviously, like you say, Cavani out, 2 goals in his last game, so they need to replace them goals. And you look at other players in that side who's going to score, yes, Suarez, and possibly one of the central defenders from a set piece, but there isn't a lot of goals in that if you take Cavani out. Okay,
and let's take a look at the French lineup as well. Just the one change for them, and this one is forced through suspension. Blaise Matuidi misses out because of 2 yellow cards. That means Corentin Tolisso takes his place in the middle of the park. Eugene, what do you make of the French team?
He's obviously gone with the same team and he wants the momentum. And Tolisso, who's coming from Madrid, is also a good player. He's played for PSG and he really did well against Madrid in the Champions League. So he's got great potential. So I'm looking at a French team that's very strong today.
Ashley, just since we've seen these teams, Cavani obviously a big miss for Uruguay. Does that put a lot more pressure on Luis Suarez today? Because he has to shoulder the responsibility now.
Yeah, I think it does. But he knows that. You know, he's used to that anyway at club level. You know, he's the goal scorer. And he'll have to try and produce today. You know, the lad who's come in, Stuani, he is a goal scorer himself as well. We just, you know, spoke about his goals last season, but he's a little bit of an unknown. He's 31, but he's not someone that you'll be that frequent, knowing that he's been around too much. So Suarez for sure has got to score the goals. But like I say, it wouldn't surprise me if this Stuani scores. But I think just because of the name and obviously the calibre that Suarez is, there's probably a little bit more extra pressure on him.
Eugene, but from France's perspective, you know, they've got that big result against Argentina at just the right time. And with Kylian Mbappe doing as well as he did in that match, winning the penalty, scoring 2 goals as well, what it perhaps does is take some of the pressure off of Antoine Griezmann, you know, who was really in focus at the Euros in 2016 as the main man that perhaps had to score most of the goals for France.
As we expected, France have really picked up after these knockout stages. I feel Griezmann should be, I think he must be unhappy with his performance. He hasn't really done well. But looking at it, France have got a lot of capability elsewhere. I mean, they have Mbappe, they have Pogba, they have many other players who can come out and perform. So it's actually good for France, and it's a lot of pressure reduced on Griezmann. We allow him to play more freely and give him the opportunity that he can do better.
Okay, Ashley, let's you know, take a look at how this actually lines up on our tactical board, because we expect Uruguay to try and make things very difficult for France, don't we?
Yeah, I think obviously the last game we see France, they were playing with a 4-2-3-1. We think that'll be a little bit different today. You know, they'll probably go more into a 4-3-3 if you like. So this kind of, because obviously Maturity's out. And it's going to be interesting to see where France can maybe capitalise on Uruguay, you know, where the weakness is. And Uruguay to kind of play this little diamond, if you like. You know, they have 4 midfielders, Bentancur plays at the top. Tejera is at the bottom, he's really important, and then Nandez and obviously Vecino on the right hand side. What they need to do is when they defend, they need to flatten out really, because if you look at where the weak points are, and if you look at, you know, France in possession of the ball, going up the field, and straight away you see areas where France can maybe capitalise, and that'll be down the sides, and that's because of the system obviously that Uruguay are playing. So it's really important that as soon as they lose the ball, Uruguay, they've got to flatten out, if you like. They've got to get their midfielders into these 2 banks of 4. So Bentancur has to come back and kind of go into that kind of position, if you like. So that's going to be vital. But on the flip side of that, if they don't do it quick, you know, France can knock the ball, you know, get it into the full-backs, maybe pass it into midfield, get it wide, and all of a sudden these full-backs can then really get forward and maybe capitalise, even if it's down the outside, overlapping, that kind of really pattern of play that you'll see. So if France can make the pitch really big quick, they may just capitalise on the weakness of Uruguay, which is down the sides, like I've mentioned, because they do play this diamond. But in saying that, you know, we haven't seen it too much because Uruguay have been so disciplined. They've got real fit midfielders that will run all day, and like we've mentioned, they flatten out into the 4, and Tejera is really important. I mean, we've seen him basically dog everywhere. Wherever that ball becomes loose, if it drops in off a forward, if it drops in midfield, you'll see Tejera presses really well, and that'll be the secret of Uruguay's defending. So flatten out the 4 midfielders, and the same kind of desire that they've showed in their previous games.
Eugene, lots of familiarity between you know, these players. A lot of them, you know, Godin, Jimenez, Griezmann, Hernandez play for Atletico Madrid. There are players from Barcelona. How do you approach a game like this, you know, considering you know your opponents quite well?
I feel it makes it a lot easier. Like I would say, I would myself, I knew someone who have played, and it makes it easier how I approach and how I would know his weaknesses. So they would obviously know each other's weaknesses and each other's strong points, so they would try to play to the best of those qualities.
This one's going to go, Ashley. Is this a very tough one to call? I think the bookmakers are split on Uruguay and France.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, for me, I just think France are going to have too much, especially having that convincing victory last time. Yes, it was only 4-3, but to score 4 goals and Mbappe being in fine form, confident, I don't think there's enough goals in the Uruguay side, and I just think, you know, defending all the time is not going to play into their hands. So I think for me, I'm going to go France, probably 2-0.
Agree with that, Eugene? France have too much quality, or can Uruguay pull a frustrating act again?
France have got too much quality, but I feel Uruguay could get a goal out of nowhere. Make it be like a 2-1 win to France.
2-1.
Uruguay shirt on, isn't he?
Yeah. Yes, you are wearing sky blue, aren't you, Eugene?